Hello, everyone. Welcome into the latest edition of Prem Talk, your go-to spot for anything Premier League, anything Champions League. I am your host, Zeki, joined by Millen and Nate today. Boys, what a terrible, terrible 2 weeks of football I've had and Millen's had, but more so me. I mean, this 2 week period has been very, very rough for me personally as a United fan and as a Portugal fan after yesterday. We're going to get into the shambles that is Manchester United in a little bit, but so much has happened in the Premier League, even though it was international break. We're going to start with the Premier League awards that were given out. Mohamed Salah on the double. He won both Player of the Month and Goal of the Month, deservedly so. His goal against City was quite phenomenal, might even win goal of the season. But Tuchel won Manager of the Month over Jurgen Klopp and Pep. I believe Chelsea, they played 4 matches, they won all four, scored 14 goals, and only conceded one. Nate, take us away. What is Tuchel doing so well right now?
I mean, at this point, it's almost beating a dead horse. I feel like we're talking about the same thing week in, week out of how brilliant he is and how well he kind of orchestrates that team tactically as well as a leader. I mean, Chelsea's just firing on all cylinders right now, even without their two main strikers in Timo Werner and Romelu Lukaku. We see, of course, Reece James and Ben Chilwell firing. They've actually been scoring the most goals out of anybody in these past few weeks. So obviously they've been picking up that slack there. I believe we have like 17 or 18 different goal scorers on the season as well, with only one goal conceded from open play. So I mean, I think that we're probably defensively possibly could break that defensive record for least goals conceded in the league. I think that's definitely we got a shout at that. Tuchel's just been obviously he's revolutionized his team. Like people like Rudiger before Tuchel came in, like obviously not performing at their highest standards. He's almost come in and given like a jump start to a lot of those type of players like Rudiger and Christensen, making that back line come alive. So um, too many things to count, honestly, that he's done for this team. Just amazing manager.
It must be so nice, Mel. Right? It must be so nice to have great owners, great manager, great squad, a
Great
winning
board.
squad.
Yeah. Great time to be a Chelsea fan, honestly.
It is a good time. It is a good time. We've had a lot happen in this off week in terms of manager. It's manager musical chairs, if you will. Let's just recap people who've gotten sacked. So we're going to start obviously Newcastle sacked Steve Bruce a few weeks ago, and they've appointed Eddie Howe, which for me I think is great for him personally because a year ago, when he left Bournemouth, he was very hesitant to get back into the managerial career. He said the next position he takes is going to be one that means a lot to him. It's going to take a lot to get him back in. He wanted it to mean something. So, Mel, how far do you think Eddie Howe can take this Newcastle team, and in what time frame?
I don't know. I think they still get relegated. Like,
Really?
regardless of the I thought Steve Bruce was a good manager. Obviously, like Newcastle weren't doing well, but I think he knew his team well and he could motivate a team. Um, it's just that the quality's not there at the club. I think if they had a more cohesive team, um, then then they'd be fine. But a new manager coming in now at this point in the season with the same team, it would be interesting to see what happens, obviously, in the transfer windows. If they can get some good signings. Uh, but if not, then I don't see, what he can do. It's sort of like, Frank Lampard was like spoken about with Norwich. So what could Frank Lampard do to Norwich that would stop them from getting relegated? Like, I think there's just very little that can be done to sort of save that Newcastle side. Um, Again, it's just maybe like if the quality comes in the transfer windows and Eddie Howe does get through to his players and really motivates them, then yeah, there's a chance of survival there, obviously. But I just don't see it happening.
I mean, I think Norwich is a different story though. Like, Norwich are
Yeah,
done. If
no,
Pep Guardiola went in and managed Norwich, they'd still get relegated. So I think they're a little different,
I mean, at
in
the
the
same
sense
time,
that
they
yeah.
are definitely poorly managed, though. I feel like a better manager would definitely help that side, as well as any side, obviously. I mean, because Newcastle, I think they have good players personally. Like Alan St. Maximin, obviously, is a great player. I've always thought that John Joe Shelby has been a great player as well. I think he's criminally underrated. Personally, that's just my opinion. Um, but I think if they just get somebody to manage that team well, I honestly think that they could pull up from relegation. And I think it's like a great opportunity for Eddie Howe too, because obviously with the takeover happening, they wanted like bigger names for managers and bigger names for people, but I don't think they're quite ready for that yet. So I think this is the perfect stepping stone for them to, reach that next level if they could actually put in some good performances and stay in the league. So
I agree. And in my opinion, I think Newcastle do enough to stay up this year. I think they do, especially because I saw that video of Eddie Howe like on the training pitch, his first training session. He looked like he loved to be there. The players were getting in, all laughs. Like you don't really see many teams laughing when they're in the relegation zone, but I think he's bringing a lot of positive energy, and I think the players will play for him. So I think he does enough to stay up. But
yeah,
He's definitely
elsewhere,
got a massive paycheck as well. He's definitely getting paid so much money.
yeah,
Um,
he is. Yeah,
I'd if
has to be.
I'd be smiling if I was coaching for that wage. I'd be
yeah.
training with him.
Elsewhere, Dean Smith has had quite a week, hasn't he? So started out, or I guess it tails into a little bit of the previous week, but started out getting sacked by Villa, and he ended the week being appointed manager of Norwich. So if you're Dean Smith, Mill, one, why are you taking the Norwich job right now? And two, do you think he's going to be able to do anything with them?
I think it's sort of a safety net because he can take Norwich and understand that expectations are already low. So there's not really an underperforming with the Norwich side that hasn't won a game yet. It just won't exist because everyone's already expecting them to go under like straight away. No, no sort of chance of survival. If he goes into that Norwich side and does really well, however, um, I don't know. I don't see Norwich going on a winning streak anytime soon. But if they did something great, then obviously they could do something. But yeah, I guess it's a different challenge from Villa. But yeah, it'll be a new situation for him, a new challenge, um, and hopefully something that he can maybe build towards a future, because I think the job's not only going to be about you know not not being an embarrassment this year, like sort of Norwich typically are in the Premier League, but it's also like making sure you're still competitive for the Championship the next season. So if he's got a good medium term sort of strategy where he can get players in and sort of get a group together of staff that trust him and his strategy, then it's all about preparing for the next biggest challenges. And for him, it's uh, it's staying in the Premier League. So I'm quite excited to see how that goes. Because if Norwich start winning and they start beating some big teams, I'll be very happy. Unless it's obviously us, and it probably will be us.
We do
But
play them in a month.
yeah,
We
it'll
do,
probably
little
will be
less than a
us.
month actually.
But yeah,
I want to chip in here real quick though. Personally, like as a Chelsea fan, I get frustrated watching Norwich, and this is why I kind of say that they're poorly managed because I don't understand how they go for a loan in Billy Gilmore, who is a Champions League competitor and won multiple Man of the Match awards for Champions League games, and they don't even put him in the side. Like, I don't understand the thinking there. And personally, like, I feel like that's why they're going to get relegated just because that's poor management. Like, I don't understand how you're putting. Of course, he's a young player, but you brought him in to develop him and for the quality that he has. So, just from my point of view, I don't understand from a managerial point what exactly is going on.
I think Dean Smith is a better manager than Daniel Farke was, in my opinion. So I think we're going to see a boost for Norwich. Maybe not big. I still think they go down. I think it's too late. The damage has already been done. But Dean Smith's replacement, though, is arguably the most exciting one out of the lot. Steven Gerrard has left Rangers mid-season to take a Premier League role to be the head coach of Aston Villa. Obviously, there was a lot of talk. I know Jamie Carragher on Sky Sports is very supportive of his former teammate Gerrard taking this role at Aston Villa. And I think personally it's a great role for him. I think it's right in the sweet spot. It's not a bottom team where there'd be no hope of uh, getting wins or anything. He's got a decent financial backing. with the owners at Villa, but it's not a huge team where it'd be competing with Liverpool for titles and stuff. So I think this Villa appointment is perfect for him. Mill, do you think he's going to do good?
I hope not, man. I sound so salty. But yeah, no, obviously Gerrard did do insane with Rangers. Obviously stopped Celtic winning, what was it, 10 in a row or something? Something nuts.
And they went
Um,
unbeaten as well. Yeah.
yeah, so he's obviously, he's got experience, doing some tricky tasks. Villa do have a good side. I remember like after the transfer window, everyone was saying like, oh, they spent the money from Grealish really well, and they got Buendia, who was a great prospect at the time, and I think Gerrard will unlock a more definitive team and style of play. He's obviously terrifying. Like I can imagine, not for me, I'm not scared of Gerrard. If he was in this room, I'd tell him to his face. But if he was in a dressing room screaming, I reckon my players are going to listen, um, and they're going to be scared of underperforming as well. I think you need that sort of fear factor. But yeah, I can't say much. I didn't really watch much Rangers. I'm pretty useless to have on this podcast. I don't watch a lot of things, but but uh, he's done really well. If he can come to the Premier League and repeat that, then maybe it's a good stepping stone before he eventually goes to the Liverpool job, which is probably inevitable.
Right. A lot's happened. Newcastle's sacked Steve Bruce, brought in Eddie Howe. Dean Smith is out at Villa. Gerrard comes in. Norwich sacked their manager, Daniel Farke. And Nuno is out at Spurs, as we know, who got Conte. And United have sacked Ole. Just kidding. Just kidding. They haven't. You know why, Mill? You know why we haven't sacked Ole? Because our board is incompetent. Norwich, Aston Villa, Newcastle all have more competent boards than Manchester United, and that in and of itself is a terrible, terrible statement. I'm just gonna recap the events that have happened in the last 2 weeks before we start talking about it. So obviously, first, this whole United had been in shambles all season, but it got really, really bad when we went away to Leicester, conceded 4 times, and lost. Then we had Liverpool at home. We lost 5-0 to Liverpool at home, got smashed. And then our next big match was City at home. We didn't touch the ball. We lost 2-0, got smashed. So right after the Leicester game, you'd think we should start making phone calls if you're the Glazers. We should have a plan B in case this goes bad. After Liverpool, he should have been gone. After City, he surely should have been gone. So what happened? We lost to City, then we went on an international break. Today actually marks 9 days since we played City, right? So what does the board say to Ole and the players? They say, "Hey guys, whoever's not playing international duty, which is pretty much the whole squad now, because Ole has led us to nothing. So besides Ronaldo, besides Bruno, all these players have had nothing to do this last week. So instead of training, the board goes, you know what, guys, let's go have a holiday. We've just lost to our bitter rivals, both of them, back to back in terrible fashion. But you know what, Ole, you know what, go on vacation, go to Norway, go fish for the whole 9 days. This will all blow over when you come back. There's no need. We love you. It's all right. Let's not train. Let's all go away and come back 9 days later and just resume training, business as usual. Millen, is there something I'm missing?
I just want this United side to come back and win, because if they lose now, I have zero faith of even getting Champions League football this season. Because you kind of hope like after a loss, like after Liverpool, I wanted a sort of a good response, and you know Atalanta happened where I was like whatever, and I said that maybe if we won against City because United tend to do
No,
well
you were
against City.
having a laugh last week. You were having an absolute laugh. You're like, yeah, we could just go beat Atalanta away. Then, come back, we're going to beat City, then beat Chelsea, and beat Arsenal, beat all these teams. We haven't won a match since you said that, actually, now that I think about
Yeah,
it.
it was more hypothetical. I was saying like from the Glazed perspective, if Ollie did all that, then it's so like we're all gonna be like, oh well, we shouldn't have said Ollie out and blah blah. But fact of the matter, he didn't win against Atalanta. We got very lucky with Ronaldo, incredible finish. And City was probably, I think equally bad as Liverpool. I know it's like a, but I think watching it, like watching us have nothing on City, was just so
Oh, the City match
appalling.
was worse. The City
Yeah, I
match was
just,
worse in my opinion, because at least we
I'm,
tried against Liverpool.
mm, I'm still a bit indecisive about the performance, but yeah, I think with regards to the whole sort of holiday thing, um, I think you touched on it before. I'm not sure if you mentioned it, while we were recording, but it would have been the perfect time to sort of sort out the new manager with the international break. And I've obviously seen a few tweets saying that United were approaching Zidane, and then obviously Fabrizio Romano came out and said that that was just not true. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of feeling a bit numb about the situation now. Sort of like, okay, we need to beat Watford, and if we don't beat Watford, we're not going to get top four this year. Do you know how this makes me look? I've gone and told all my friends that we were title contenders at the beginning of the season. I was like,
I
just
did as
watch.
Uh,
well.
I thought so
Just,
too. I'm
just
not
That
even gonna lie.
that's what the
I didn't.
club said though. At the beginning of the season, the club objectives were to win the title, and now
mm.
we're not in
How
it.
dare I assume that we had a competent manager? Like, actually, how dare I do that? It's just a joke.
I do have a question for you guys. I'm wondering who you think is going to end up in the top four. What do you think the top four in the league is going to be this season?
That's a good question. I think Mill asked me that off air a few minutes before we started, but it's one of two things for me. If we get a new manager in before Christmas, you know what? Yeah, before Christmas, United finish fourth. Then it'd be Chelsea, or the top four would be Chelsea, Liverpool, City, United. That would be my four. But if we don't get a new manager in, I'd put West Ham in over us at the fourth spot.
Really,
So
that's surprising. I don't know because Arsenal's been on great form as well. Of course, I like to laugh at Arsenal, but they have been doing very well in recent weeks. So, and they've climbed up the table a decent amount. I mean, if they keep this form up, then they could be contenders as well. I think for top four, but for Tottenham, for me, I think is out of it because Harry Kane has just been so awful.
I don't know. Spurs aren't the question. I mean, I'm talking like we're miles above Spurs. We're not, especially now with Conte. But you know what? I was talking to Mill about this. You know what's absolutely baffling to me? I mean, it's not even fun anymore, honestly, because you know when you argue with your rival fans, you're like you only argue with them because you're weighed the same amount relatively, like you compete with one another. All the Glazers have made United a mockery of the league. Now we're just a joke. Like I can't even argue with a Liverpool fan. They don't even want to argue with me because we're not even worth the time to argue. And I sat across Liverpool and City, same section, right across from the away fans, and they all singing "Always at the wheel," both of them. And it's getting to a point where it's so annoying. I went to West Ham Liverpool, right? The day after the derby. My dad was like, you know what, just go. I'll cover it. I need you to see a good match where you're not upset afterward. That's what he said to me. He was taking the piss out of me after the derby. But I went, and you know what? I sat across in Liverpool away section again at West Ham Stadium, and they were singing "Always at the Wheel" when they were playing West Ham. They weren't even playing United, and they were singing "Always at the Wheel." Like it's a mockery. Like it's so sad. It's embarrassing. The rival fans are just singing our manager's name 5 more years. Enjoy. It's actually it's horrendous. It's disgusting to me how we're just fine with this. And a stat I came across recently was that in United's Premier League history, 21% of our home Premier League defeats have come under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the history that we've played in the Premier League. Like that's insane. That's absolutely mental. Which I guess tells you how much of a fortress Old Trafford used to be, and now it's a joke.
No,
Yeah,
but
but
I found
yeah,
out from
but
you. I found out from you, Zeki, and I was just there like, how has it got to 21%? Like, I've never heard a stat of it being like 18% or like 15%. It's quite weird.
It's
Like, he's done it slyly. Obviously, not this season. This season, we've been atrocious at home, but
Yeah, but if you think about it, when he took over, I mean, we went on that unbeaten away run of like 29 games, I think it was. We were phenomenal away, but we haven't been good at home. I mean, especially
you
when
guys don't have
COVID was a thing, there were no fans in the stadium.
you guys don't have that Liverpool aspect because every team is afraid to go to Anfield.
let's relax, Nate. Let's relax. Old Trafford historically is a fortress. Everyone knows it's a fortress. The issue is
We're
we
talking about
don't
now,
play
though.
good football. Okay, well, yes, no, now this season, yes. Now, now it's a joke. No one fears. Like Phil Foden in his interview was like, Old Trafford's a tough place to come. It's not.
I
Ask
feel
Villa.
like definitely this year, and in recent past for sure. I mean, it's definitely been Anfield has been the place that teams are scared to go. I don't think anybody else is really as notorious as Liverpool for having such a good home record in recent time.
In recent times, sure. No, I agree with you. And Anfield unbiasedly is it has to be. It's definitely a top two atmosphere in the Premier League.
Yeah,
Has to be.
yeah, I'll give
I
it
know it
top
is.
two. Nah, I would say United have been off this season, right? They've been off, and everyone's a bit depressed about the situation. Come on, like Old Trafford's just—it's the theatre of dreams. Just stuff gets done there. Obviously, not this season. I know not this season. Just give it a competent manager and some structure, and bang, you've got yourself
I
the
get it,
best
but what
stadium in
I
the world.
fear, Mill, is that it's slowly becoming not that. Like we're very, very close to going down the same path that Arsenal went down or have
Yeah,
been
I was
going
about to
down
say.
the last few years. Like very, very close, and it's really scary. Like we've taken it's all down to the board. Like it's not Ole's fault anymore. Ole can't sack himself. He'd be an idiot if he
No.
sacked himself. They're paying him 7 million guaranteed. If he sacked himself, if he resigned, he wouldn't get that. But we've
Arsene Wenger.
taken yeah, but that's different, man. That he actually managed his whole life. He didn't need to stay. This is Ole's last job he's gonna get at any competitive team. He might go coach in Norway again, but in the Premier League, this is his last gig. No,
Yeah.
no one is gonna sign him ever. But our board is looking at this, and just because he scored a goal in 1999 and everyone loves him as a person and as a player, he's not getting the sack. We've scored one goal in our last four Premier League home matches. One goal, and I've been in all of them. Fortunate for me, I've seen one goal in our last four home Premier League matches. We've taken 4 points from 18. We are completely out of the title race in November, and we're 5 points off fourth spot in November,
I
and
mean,
they're just
I
completely fine
feel
with it.
I feel like at this point they're just shattering Ole's legacy. Y'all can continue. I'll be right back.
No, they are. No, without without a doubt. Nate's gone off for a second, but without a doubt, no, they're absolutely shattering his legacy right now because it's it's so frustrating because the fans, player Ole, manager. I know you love Ole Mill. I know you do, but it's time to
Yeah,
get
as a
down
player,
to earth right now. Yeah,
yeah.
he's got to go. And this 9 day like holiday, it was a holiday that everyone's taken. It just the only reason they would have done this, in my opinion, is to get a new manager in. Because why would you send everyone on holiday if you're gonna stick with the same guy? Like we are in terrible, terrible form. We have to be working on things.
I mean, when people like start being like Ollie's losing his legacy and stuff, um, obviously as you can say, like I've said it before, I've said it 100 times. Like I'll always think Ollie's a legend for what he's done for the club, and I always think, I always think of him as a player, not a manager. But there does come a point, yeah, where the manager stuff does start sort of overlapping with like your overall memory of him. And obviously, that's more pertinent in my life because I didn't get to see his whole career as a player. Um, but yeah, it's like Ollie's. You can blame the management for not sacking him, firstly. But Ollie's tactics have been sorry, piss poor. That's okay to say, right? They've been really bad, and they've been so bad. And I'm just like, yeah, the board should sack him, but you shouldn't be doing that, or you should be bringing on a sub now, and definitely not taking off Ronaldo in the 60th minute, or bringing on Donny with 4 minutes left. It's just like little things, and he's sticking with McFreddy constantly make errors together. the
I
board
get
the
it,
board
Mel.
needs to change and like change its realizations and expectations of the club given where we are now. And Ollie needs to understand that he doesn't have a structure, he doesn't have an identity in this United squad, and that he's not capable of taking us further. And the right thing to do would be to step down in that sense. But I know that's really hard. He loves United. he wants to prove us wrong. Essentially, that's his job. Well, not really, but that's probably in his head. That's probably what he wants. So it's a bit of a sticky situation, and we're not really going to get out of it because the boards, um, they seem set on keeping Ollie in, because it's safe, less work maybe for them. Um, they probably they're probably good friends with him. They If they change
Yeah,
Ollie, they're
there's a
probably going to
joke running
friends and
around.
stuff.
Yeah, they're saying Ollie's last name is Glazer. They're calling him Ollie Glazer on Twitter now, and it's like before when the bad form started, the fan base was split. It started out half and half, Ollie in, Ollie out. We still sang Ollie's at the wheel at the Bishop Blaze. It was all fine. Now, even during international break, I mean, this is what the Glazers have done to the fan base, right? They tweeted out, Marcus Rashford got his MBE, his actual one, his physical thing this week. So they posted on social media like, "Well done, Marcus. Well done, this." Like a very good, important post that should be recognized positively. All the comments, all out, all out, all out, all out. That's it. They tweeted out a support message for someone who recovered from cancer this week, and this is where I was disgusted. All the comments, sack Ole out, Ole out. Like that's not right, obviously, but that's what the Glazers are doing to this fan base, the toxicity that comes with the indecision, the incompetence from the owners. They're making this fan base and this club into a joke and to a very, very toxic place, which it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be because we're Manchester United. We can get any manager we want in the world. It doesn't matter what job they're in. We can pay it off. The attraction with the stars that we have at United and everything should make any manager want to come. But people like Zidane are hesitant because of the board. I mean, this should tell you anything you need to know about the Glazers. So Avram Glazer was in the U.S. Talking to some American football players, some youth players. I don't know if you guys saw this. He was interviewed. He was being recorded, and he was talking to them about mentality. And he brought up Ronaldo, obviously, and he was going off, and he started with Cristiano Ronaldo joined Manchester United. He joined us when he was 16, and he was the first to show up at practice and the first to leave. Ronaldo didn't join us at 16. Ronaldo came
Yeah,
at 18. Like a simple thing like that. Like the one of the biggest players in the history of the club, one of the greatest of all time. You're just gonna nonchalantly forget when he came. Like they don't care about the football. Like that's just proof they don't care about the football at all.
So I look at this from like a Manchester United aspect as like a fan, and I just feel like always like a feel good or whatever, and I understand that it was like the same thing with Frank Lampard, which is why I was happy with that for a while. But it's just like there's got to come a point where he has to go because this, of course, he's a legend, but this is just going to leave a sour taste in everybody's mouth, and it's just I understand that his legacy is going to remain as a player, but his overall legacy as a player and a coach obviously is going to come into play there. And I just feel like I said, it's going to leave a sour taste in everybody's mouth. And when people are going to think of Ole, they're going to think of his managerial position because that's the most recent thing that he's been employed with. So I just feel like at this point, I think he's in too deep. So I understand kind of why he's trying to stick it out and prove why he's right or why he's the man for the job. But I just feel like it's almost a travesty that United have kind of slandered his name as well. I feel like he's almost been dragged through the mud. Of course, I feel like most United fans would realize that it's really the board's fault. But of course, there's a bunch of people as well who are placing blame on Ole specifically. So
I think he should get blamed because at the end of the day, like the board could, I don't know, not support Ole, or they could be completely incompetent and stuff. But they've given him a lot of funds to go and have fun with in the transfer markets, and they've obviously helped bring in all these world class talents. And Ole has still benched Sancho in big games, and he's still benched Donny van de Beek, who was a Ballon d'Or shortlist. So there's so many people to blame for this that it's become sort of an overwhelming problem at the club. Um, I don't think bringing a new manager will fix anything because you've got all this coaching team that Ole's sort of got with all his buddies in there.
yeah, that's what I was
Um,
about to touch on too. I almost feel like at this point, if he really wanted to turn things around, then he wouldn't try and do it himself. I almost feel like he would get a better backing and a better staff. that would help him or kind of help him identify what type of football he's trying to play within this club. But it's almost as just he's just trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, which is just I don't understand it. Um, I just feel like if he was really trying and doing everything in his power, then maybe he would try different staff members or updating different things. And
No, that's a very good point, actually. It's a
I
very good point. So
just don't understand.
Ole has McKenna, Phelan, and Michael Carrick are just as much, if not more, to blame than Ole. Because at the beginning, Ole's out of his depth, right? Like it's not he doesn't know how to manage a football team of this standard, let alone any football team really, but especially not United. So he's relying heavily on the coaching, on his coaching staff of Phelan, of McKenna, of Michael Carrick. The whole house swap needs to happen. When we get a new manager, the backroom staff is not going to stay. It's going to be whoever they want to bring in, and that's also it's a big point actually that they need to change. But I'm actually very scared what the end of the season is going to bring us, because I tell you right now, if Ole or we don't have a new manager before Watford, I can tell you we're not going to have a new manager before the new year, because after this international break, we play a match almost pretty much every 3 or 4 days between Premier League, between Champions League. Like the turnaround time from Watford is 3 days, two after they're done playing to Villarreal. You can't sack a manager then. Like you just can't. There's not enough time. Now is the time to bring someone in where they have a week's training to go in. And if we stick with Ollie for the rest of the season, I can tell you right now, Pogba's gone. Donny's gone in January. Donny's not going to stay. Ronaldo, this is huge. If we don't make Champions League football next year, Ronaldo is not staying. I can tell you that right now. I wouldn't want him to stay. I look at this wall, all of these walls, every single day, priding myself that this guy is Mr. Champions League. He's not going to play. It would be a disgrace for him to play in the Europa League, and he's not going to do it. So we're going to be without so many players, so many potentially, if he stays in charge the whole season.
I feel like this needs to be touched on it as well because obviously we're coming up to it. But results of Chelsea United, depending on, do you really think that we could see him get sacked?
The thing
That's
is,
a big game.
Nate, like the thing, like yes, but it's going to be a bad time too because we turn around and we play. Is it Arsenal midweek? Yeah, we play Arsenal on the Thursday. So I guess that's the biggest gap. Sunday to Thursday, it's 4 days maybe. But I mean, that's when it would have to happen. But again, if we go down that path, that we're just wasting points now, wasting valuable points. Like I think we have enough to get through Watford. I mean, the fact it's even a debate is sad in and of itself.
I
But
mean, I feel
we
like
should get
if you lose both of those games back to back, it has to be cut there. There's no way that's acceptable. Because I mean, the way that I'm looking at is Chelsea are going to beat you guys, of course, because I'm a Chelsea fan and our form is impeccable right now. So I'm obviously going to be assuming that you guys lose, and if you guys lose to both us and Watford, there's no redemption.
Nate, I'll tell you right now, if we lose to Watford and Chelsea, that would be 4 points from 24. Like you can't even make it up. You won't hear from me. You won't.
I
And
think I think our form has been atrocious, right? But we're not in a position to be like a guaranteed win for other teams, I don't think. I don't think Chelsea should look at us and be like it's guaranteed win. I know City walked over us. I know Liverpool's walked over us. But we do play well, not consistently, not week in, week out. I do like scare myself every week, thinking like we're going to lose to a team we should be beating. I don't think Chelsea could come and wipe the floor with us. I think I think the favors are in there, but I don't think that they can just say that they can walk
no,
up and expect to beat us
no.
so easily.
We have played two top teams this season, and we
Yeah,
got
and we did that.
absolutely
Yeah.
smashed in both of them. We play well against the teams that aren't good. We play well against the average teams who are supposed to be good, but they're not. We're gonna walk in, and those have all been at home, by the way. Those have all been at Old Trafford with 75,000 fans singing all of their names. We walk into Stamford Bridge under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer playing a makeshift five back, maybe six in the back. We don't know what he's going to do. We are going to get absolutely smashed.
I don't know how I would line up against Chelsea, but I have a feeling that if I was given my dream job of being Man United manager for a day and it was on the day of Chelsea, I would put out the most attacking side ever and tell them go down their throat. Probably could have
Of course
rephrased
you
that.
would. If
I
you're a
can see.
manager for one day,
No,
what
but
would you have
okay,
to
but
lose?
listen, we've got Ronaldo, we've got Cavani. Okay, we've got Rashford, Sancho. We've got Greenwood who could come off the bench or Sancho could come off the bench. Those are four attackers, and two of them could play on a wing. Let's say I'll go for the bog standard 4-4-2. I'm saying like plain and simple, just going on squad names. No formation, nothing like 4-4-2, just squad. We'd have Ronaldo Cavani up top, Rashford on the left, Sancho or Greenwood on the right. And then you can have two midfielders, and obviously Bruno and Pogba wouldn't work like that. But let's just say you have Bruno Pogba, maybe take out Sancho on the right and put in Fred or Matic or McTominay or someone. And then you've got your back four. I'm just saying you need a defensive midfielder, Zeki. Hold on to your hat, mate. You
On
don't.
the wing, on the wing.
I'm
We're gonna
saying
throw
think off
Nemanja
the
Matic on the
midfield.
wing.
No, okay, I'll go to 4-3-3 just because we need a defensive midfielder, right? And then you have Shaw, Maguire. I don't know if around, so we Lindelof and Aaron Wan-Bissaka in the back, and obviously De Gea in goal. That's a team that should give Chelsea a fight, right? And I think naturally, if you play attacking football, Chelsea have the quality to obviously withstand that and obviously counter. But then we should have the quality to then get back and do the exact same thing. What's been a shame is that I felt like that at the beginning of the season, and I thought it was a given that we'd be title contenders at minimum with the team that we had. I think a lot of people did that. Even rival fans were probably a bit scared of United. But I don't think anyone could have predicted the sheer level of incompetence that they've seen on match days. Like some tactical decisions, maybe a formation change at one point, or substitutes coming off when we're losing, or when we're winning 1-0 in the first half, we go to a five back and hold on. It's just been so frustrating to watch week in, week out. I just pray that Chelsea is the big game, is the big turning point. And obviously, naturally, I'm going to think like that. You're going to think Chelsea's going to walk over, which you have every right to. Um, I'm just backing us to fight, because if we don't, then the season's done. Again, as Zeki said, our players are going. You didn't even mention Cavani's going at the end of the season as well.
That's another
Um,
one.
It's a big loss.
it's
He worked
it's
very hard.
it's yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to have to rely on Rashford and Greenwood and maybe Martial. We're back to square one again. It's a really scary time. But obviously, Chelsea, you must be enjoying the season. I'll say enjoy it while it lasts, because United are coming back next season.
We will talk about Chelsea United. There's going to be a big. I hope all four of us are on. All four of us have to be on the preview for that match. United are in shambles. We'll see what happens. Maybe by the time this is out, we have a new manager. Every night I go to bed praying I wake up to some news. We will see. However, you might have noticed my facial expressions when that was going on. I was checking the scores for the World Cup qualifiers. England are winning 10-0 to San Marino. It didn't matter the match. England were already through, but Harry
Sorry,
Kane
can I just
played.
say? Sorry, can I just say Harry Maguire is England's all-time top scoring centre back.
Okay, that also brings up another thing. You know what? I think Roy Keane said it best against Albania when he scored and celebrated like he was silencing the critics.
Oh,
Harry
give him a
Maguire,
rest.
get
Albania.
off your high horse.
Albania.
Absolutely
No,
not.
no. Give it.
He's literally been a shambles for he's been a disgrace at the back all season long. He's not even wearing a United shirt. He's wearing an England shirt, and he scores against Albania, and he's gonna silence the haters like that makes up for what he's
I
done.
completely understand that frustration, right? But put yourself in his shoes. He's been a meme. He's been abused on social media.
It's his own fault.
Okay, I know it's his job to take criticism, but he has been completely bombarded. It must have felt so good to score that, and he probably did it out of anger. But don't hold it against Harry.
No,
He did
no,
it
go
right. It's not
celebrate your goal in a different way. Great, you scored. Great. But that's not what a United captain does. The United
oh,
captains, dating back, Roy Keane, Nemanja Vidic, list goes on, Steve Bruce even, You silenced the critics as a Manchester United captain by going and winning titles, by going putting your head down and grinding out results, grinding out perform. You do it on the pitch. You don't say, haters, where are you? Come say my name after you score one
Well,
goal against Albania.
I almost
yeah,
don't even understand too why Maguire gets so much criticism, and he's in the back, but Harry Kane has had a torrid season, and it almost never gets talked about. I feel like.
I think people cut Kane a bit more slack because one, he's a national hero, like he's just a great striker for England, um, and two, he's already expressed he wanted to leave in the summer. So people kind of take his off form, like maybe his heart's not in it, maybe all this. Harry Maguire is someone we paid £80 million for, and I think we've got maybe what 15 million, 20 million of that um, in return,
20.
as in
20.
the performances. Harry Kane is a world class striker. He's just off form. Harry Maguire's, I don't know, he's good in an England shirt. That's it.
I
I know
mean,
it's Albania and San Marino, but I've watched him in England for years now, Zeki. He's a great centre back for us.
yeah, I will actually agree with that. He is a good center back for England. I don't understand what the malfunction is when he goes and plays for United, but I actually agree with that.
Moral of the story is he shouldn't have the armband. He should never even have been given a hint of a chance of getting the armband of United. He's not a captain. You know what really made me mad? I've never been a Maguire fan. As soon as I found out we paid 80 million for him, I said, "Man, we're just throwing money away." But what made me so mad is I after the Liverpool match, he comes out in the press and he's like, "I'm only here." He literally said, "I'm only here because I have to be here." Excuse you? Excuse you, Harry Maguire? The Manchester United captain had just gotten smacked 5-0 at home to Liverpool, and you're speaking to the fans. You're the face of the club, speaking to the fans, and you're saying, "I can't even be bothered. I'm just here so I don't get fined." Basically, what?
Yeah, I don't understand how he's got that armband, to be honest, when you have Ronaldo in the team and De Gea's been there for years. I just don't understand why he was given that. Of course, like I understand because he captains England, I'm pretty sure, right? So I think it would make sense somewhat, but I just don't think he's really that role model that Ronaldo is. I feel like Ronaldo could be given that just because of his history with the club, or like I said, De Gea because he's been there for years and always performed. Of course, he's had some stints, but we know how good of a goalkeeper he is. So
Mm.
My night has just gone from bad to worse. I mean, really, really bad. So, context, Switzerland have currently beaten or are up in the 90th minute to Bulgaria 4-0, and Italy have just drawn to Northern Ireland 0-0. And you're going to ask me, why the hell does that matter? I'll tell you why it matters. So, if anyone who watched international break this weekend, Portugal lost in the 90th minute to Serbia, putting them in second place in their group, meaning Serbia gets automatically qualified to the World Cup next year, meaning Portugal has to go play in the playoff. Switzerland and Italy are in the same group. They entered today level on points. So whoever won out of those two gets automatically qualified, and the runner up gets sent to the playoff. So now we're in a situation where Italy are going to be in the playoff to get to the World Cup, um, which makes Portugal's chances of going through even slimmer than they already were. And I'm going to be honest, I was down horrendous last night after that. Mostly because in the reverse fixture, Ronaldo scored a goal that crossed the goal line. Photo evidence, it crossed the goal line. And they came out and said after the match, goal line technology wasn't working and they didn't count it. And that goal is the reason they didn't qualify for the World Cup because it was 2 points taken off of them. Um, so now I'm envisioning a World Cup 2022, Ronaldo's last dance with Portugal, and he's not going to be there because of this, because Italy are in the playoff as well now. The European champions are playing in the playoff to get to the World Cup. So I'm in shambles right now. Actually, this is this is not good. This is very bad.
I was just gonna say, like me personally, I'm more of like an Argentina fan because,
Oh,
well,
it's
Messi, but also like England and United States, I watch a lot. I don't necessarily watch a lot of Portugal, so I wouldn't say I'm really too stressed for them not being in it. Personally, I know that it's different for
No,
you.
from a footballing perspective, to not have an all-time great play his last World Cup, you don't think that's a disservice to the game to not have Ronaldo play in his last World Cup with Messi?
Um,
Ronaldo
it's
Messi on the international one last time for football's sake, not even for my sake.
it's super unfortunate. I understand, but I just feel like we're almost at a time where Ronaldo's great, and I'm not gonna disgrace his legacy,
Watch it.
but we almost
Watch
have
it.
to move on
You're
at
breaking
some
his
point.
heart.
We almost have to move on
Watch
at
it.
some point. It's the same thing with Messi. I mean, like they're
Yeah,
gonna
when he
retire.
retires, you move on. Yeah, I'm preparing myself every day for that. And I tear up a little bit every time I think about it. But it's just because it's not deserved. That's what hurts so much for me. Like, I mean, Fernando Santos is a horrific manager. Like, imagine how hard it must be to beat Ronaldo and even Bruno right now, actually. You go play for club, you play under one of the worst managers in world football right now
Cancelo as
in
well.
OLE. Well, no, but he plays under Pep at
Oh
the club
yeah,
level.
yeah.
I'm
Pep,
talking
maybe.
Bruno and Ronaldo and Dallo when he plays has to play under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in mediocrity, in shambles, and then they go to the national team and play under Fernando Santos, who decided to park the bus when they went up 1-0 in the second minute and just invited all the pressure in. Like it must be so difficult, and I felt for him. It's going to be really tough. Not to mention, it has an impact on United as well because the playoffs are in March. Our fixture list is not easy in March. Ronaldo shouldn't have to be playing all these matches for the national team in March. Like he's gonna be so fatigued come March time. It's right in the middle of Champions League as well. If we're still in it, it's so bad. This is such a bad situation.
I just feel like,
I
yeah, it's upsetting because they're uh, kind of done wrong, obviously, with like goal line technology not working. But I feel like if they had been actually beaten fair and square and they were out of it just because they were out of it, then I couldn't have any remorse. But I do kind of understand where you're coming from and the fact that goal line technology wasn't working. And if they openly admitted that publicly, then
How
that's
is that
wrong.
even allowed? How is that even allowed to be a thing? It's 2021. Like, just look at a picture. We've all seen it on Twitter. There's a picture. You can see the green grass in between the
I'm
ball and the
sure
goal line.
sure they had VAR active as well. It's not like they can't run back the play. Like I don't understand. There's a lot of things in football that I don't understand sometimes, and it's really weird. VAR's gonna change the league or whatever, and it's gonna do all this good stuff. It's almost been nothing but problems.
Yeah, well, March is going to be tough. Mill, I'll give you the last word on this before we sign off.
okay. I remember
Here we go.
watching. I remember watching. I think the first World Cup I could remember. I think it's 2006. Um, England played Portugal, and Rooney
Yes.
on some bloke's balls, and Ronaldo goes in and tells the ref to send him off, and then winked at the camera. And I know I was 6, but that broke my heart because they were like such good friends on the pitch. And so I was just, it's kind of like watching, like, I don't know. It's like watching two of your best mates fight. It's just, even though I wish I was best mates with both of them. Um, but it's just like, you can't do that. And ever since then, I've kind of disliked Portugal in the World Cup. I love Ronaldo. I think he's a great player. I think, as you said, for football, it would be a great thing for him to have, one more World Cup. Obviously, he has won the Euros. Maybe he wants the World. Of course, he wants the World Cup, but maybe he doesn't feel like it's enough. But from an England perspective, I'm chuffed. Couldn't be happier that Portugal aren't in it yet. I'm over the moon that Serbia got in above them. I understand your frustrations, but
You know,
US
I
will get
hope, I hope the Serbs are in your group and they top the group at the World Cup. I hope to God they are.
If
So,
they do, they've done well.
realize, ladies and gentlemen, Millen, we figured out finally why he doesn't like Ronaldo. So this has been good. I'm now a Serbia fan when it comes to the World Cup, if they're not in Portugal's group, if Portugal make it. But it's been a sad week for me, good week for Nate, sad week in some senses to Milan, but he's obviously over the moon that Ronaldo's out of the World Cup, maybe. So we'll see what happens. We're going to do a weekend preview, an in-depth weekend preview on Thursday night. Should be out Friday morning. Tune in for that, and please comment your questions so we can answer them. For now, it's been Zeki, Milan, Nate. We will talk to you on Thursday.